We live in a very angry world. Everywhere you go, you find people who are mad at something or someone. There are those that are very upset with the way the economy is going. Others who are deeply frustrated and angry at politicians for the rules or the laws that they have passed. There are those who are frustrated and upset with situations that are going on in their home or in their village. There are parents that are mad at their children because of their behavior or their unwillingness to follow instruction or do their schoolwork. There are many today that are upset with how things are going at work. They don't like the situations that are unfolding or how their boss or other employees are behaving. And of course, there are always those that are just going to be mad at the traffic or the fact that the weather is not going the way that they had hoped. We live in a very angry world. Now, granted, there are some things that we get angry over that are justified, meaning that there's a good reason for it. Oftentimes, we get upset and angry over injustice or acts that are unfair. Certainly things that are done wrong or behavior that is wrong will stir up that anger within us. But there is a big difference between getting angry and staying angry. We all get angry over the things that we view as unjust, unfair, or unacceptable. This is a natural human emotion. In fact, I would say that every day we get angry over something. That emotion comes up, that there's a deep frustration or just a sincere anger and hatred towards a behavior or words that were spoken. This is normal and natural in our everyday life. And typically what happens is that we get over our anger by either releasing it or by the fact of responding to that anger and reconciling it and resolving it. That is the normal way that we deal with the anger that is in our life. But staying angry is not normal. Do you understand that God never created you to stay in just one emotion? He didn't want us to be stuck in just one emotional response in this life, whether it be anger or sorrow or bitterness or any of the other emotions that we have. Emotions come and they go. They're often one way in this moment and another way in the next. God never created us to always stay angry and upset and mad at everything and everybody in this world. Emotions are to come and they are to go. To live in a continual state of anger will destroy you and damage all those that are around you. A story is told about a young boy who had developed an explosive anger. And every time he got upset about something, he would explode and start to yell, throw things, and just demonstrate that he was highly displeased with what was going on. His parents had tried to correct him and guide him in the right way and teach him how to control his anger, but he would not listen. He just got angry. So one day his father decided to get a bucket of nails and a hammer. And he came to his son and he said, "Son, what I want you to do is that whenever you get angry, whenever you desire to lash out in your temper and frustration, go to that bucket of nails, get a nail, take that hammer, and here on this fence, I want you to drive that nail in." Well, the boy thought this was a great idea. And so on that day, whenever he got angry, he went to that bucket of nails, took a nail, drove it into that wall. I mean, he just hammered it and hammered it. Well, at the end of the day, he realized that he had 41 nails driven into that wall. Well, he thought, man, I lose my temper quite a bit. So he determined the next day to not even get close to 41 nails. And he didn't. The next day he only drove in 23. And then the day after that, it was even less. Until he finally got to a point where whenever he got angry, he controlled himself by not allowing himself to go and get a nail and that hammer. Well, he was quite proud of himself and came to his father one day and said, "Dad, look, I have not driven any nails into this wall." His father was quite pleased. He said, "Son, good job. Good job on controlling your anger. Now here's what I want you to do. That every time you decide that you want to get angry, every time you feel that anger welling up within and you control yourself, go and pull out one of those nails." The young man took his father up on this challenge, thought this would be great. He would remove that wall, that fence, from all of the nails that he had driven in. And so that's what he did. When he controlled his temper, he went and he pulled out that nail until eventually all of those nails were removed from the fence. He came to his father and excited about his success. He said, "Dad, look at what I've done. I've removed all of these nails. I've controlled my temper." Again, his father said, "Good job." He was very pleased with his son's behavior. And he said, "Son, now what I want you to do is look at this fence. You see where all those nails once were. But I want you to notice there are holes that are left." And what he was teaching his son is simply this, that when you explode in anger, when you do not control your anger, there are going to be holes and scars that are left. Anger has hurt a lot of people, and it has left a lot of deep wounds and scars. And do not think for one moment that your angry outbursts are harmless. Anger destroys. Anger destroys marriages. Anger discourages the normal development of our children. When our children are raised in an angry home, they are learning behavior that will carry on with them in the rest of their life, and they will increase in anger. Anger destroys. Anger deadens our ability to show empathy to others. That when people are hurting and when people are struggling, because we're so welled up with anger within, we have no natural affection, no desire to show sympathy and help to those that are around us. And that is why the anger within must be released. It must be released. And no, we do not release our anger by hitting a wall or hitting somebody else. That is never the right response to anger. Anger is not released by yelling and screaming and just cursing and allowing our frustration to pour out of our mouth. Anger is not released by cutting ourselves or by numbing ourselves with drugs or alcohol. And yet these are many of the ways that people today are dealing with the anger within. They are allowing the anger to control them, and because it is controlling them, it is destroying them. Yes, anger within needs to be released, but it is released by identifying the source of that anger and then by lowering our pride. We have to identify what is causing this anger or this angry response to come out, and then when we identify it, we lower our pride, we humble ourselves, and we deal with that anger. See, destructive anger is the symptom, not the source of our problem. If you have anger going on in your life, you have an explosive temper, you lose your cool, you unleash the wrath that is within, there is a reason for that. See, anger is always a secondary response. Anger is always a secondary response. And that is why when we fail to identify the source of our anger, then that issue that is going on within our heart, going on within our life, will fuel that anger. And when that anger is fueled, it will only cause the fire to intensify. Proverbs chapter number 26 and verse number 20 says this: where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Notice what Solomon said, that where no wood is, where there is no fuel, then the fire will naturally go out. And when there is nothing that is fueling our anger and our frustration and our rage, then eventually our temper will go down. The reason why we are angry will no longer fuel that very destructive emotion that is within. See, anger is fueled by at least one of four things. Let me share these with you and then I'll expound upon them. Our anger is fueled either by hurt, injustice, fear, or that of frustration. These four things are the contributing factor to our anger getting out of control. Now, I realize there are other things that we would identify or say, well, this is what's causing me to be angry. This is what is stirring up the anger within. But I'll say this, if you think about it, they will fall under one of these four categories. Now let's think about these categories that fuel our anger. First, there is hurt. Hurt. Now, I'm not talking about physical wounds, but I am addressing this of emotional wounds. Now, I do want you to understand that when there is physical hurt that comes into our life, when we are abused, and when we are wounded physically by others, there will be a deep emotional wound. Man, let me say this, that when you beat up on your wife, when you abuse your wife, yes, there will be that physical wound, but there is a deeper wound that will be sustained, and that is the emotional wound from your abuse. And mothers, when you verbally abuse your children, when you cut them down, when you belittle them, when you treat them like they're nothing. Yes, there may be that outward physical abuse, but there is a deep inward abuse that comes as well. And I'll say that the emotional wound far outweighs the physical wound. The physical wound will heal very quickly. But the emotional wound will go on for years and years and years, and sometimes never even be healed. And I think we understand that in our life. There are deep hurts that when we think about them, they well up that anger within us. We get upset. We get mad at what that person did, what that person said, how we were treated in life. There is that hurt that wounds us. The psalmist said this in Psalm 109 and verse number 22. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. Notice that last phrase. He said, my heart is wounded within me. There is a wound, there is a cut, there is a scar, there is a hole within my heart because of something that was done, something that was said to me, and now I am wounded. One of the basic human needs is our need for unconditional love. We desire to be loved and accepted by those that are around us. And we are deeply wounded when that love is not given, when that love is withheld from us, when we experience rejection or refusal from those around us. And there comes a deep wound within. And when that wound is given, we have to watch out because there is a danger. When the heart is wounded, the heart can quickly turn into anger. And when anger is in the heart, it begins to build this defensive wall around the heart, and it builds a defensive wall to protect it from any future hurts. That is why angry people are often guarded. They're guarded around others. They do not open up. They do not expose themselves in a way that will allow others to get to know them. They're often guarded in their words, guarded in their emotions. And the reason for that is they do not want to be hurt again. Oftentimes, angry people will react when they feel disrespected. How dare you treat me that way? How dare you act that way around me? And they will explode at things that may seem insignificant. And this is a reaction to wounds that have been inflicted in time past. It all comes from that source of deep wounds within. They guard themselves, they react, they behave in a way where they feel like they are protecting themselves. And that is what will happen if we do not deal with the wounds and the hurts that are within our heart. That is what it will happen if we do not satisfy the things that are deeply wounding us and heal those emotional wounds. We will become angry and bitter within. So hurt is one of the sources of our anger. But also there is injustice. What is injustice? Well, it centers on this of rights being violated. Now, every one of us knows the difference between right and wrong. We know when someone is treating us wrong. We know when we are being disrespected, taken advantage of, we're being abused. We understand that. We identify those things very clearly. These are things that violate our rights. We believe that we have the right to be respected, the right to be loved, the right to be treated properly. And when an injustice occurs, whether in our own life or in the life of somebody else, especially those that we love, then anger begins to well up within us. And we have experienced this in our life, no doubt. That we've been mistreated, we've been disrespected, we've been verbally abused, and we feel as if we have been violated, that something that should have been done was not done. And we get angry. Or it happens to somebody that we love or care about. I often think about this with mothers. Mothers will take up the cause of their child's injustice. A child is mistreated by somebody else. They are bullied on the school ground. And that mother gets upset. She becomes angry. She's like a wild bear. She wants to defend her child. And that is all centered on injustice. May I say this, that when we do not properly address the injustice, when we do not deal with the things that have been done to us or done to others, and we don't deal with them properly, the only thing that is left is the root of bitterness to spring up within our heart. And when that bitterness takes root in our life, it begins to produce other destructive fruit. Now, instead of being the one that is abused, we go out and we abuse others. See, hurt people tend to hurt others. And it is rooted in this of injustice. But then there's a third source of our anger, and that is fear. Fear. Now, some would not agree. They'd say, well, fear does nothing to get me angry. But think about this. When your future is threatened, it will produce fear within your heart. And fear can very easily turn into anger. All of us want to feel secure in our life. We want to have the security of the necessities of life, of food and clothing and shelter. We want to make sure that we are taken care of. And it's not in the sense of having everything that we would ever desire or want, but we want the security that we will be fed today, we'll be clothed today, that we have a home to go back to. We want the security of employment, of love, of health, and even that of life. All of these things make us secure. But when we feel like something or someone is threatening to take away our securities, we start to worry, then we stress, And stress leads to depression, and then depression is followed by extreme anger. How could that person do that to me? Why is this situation going on in my life where I'm losing my job, I'm losing my securities, I'm losing my relationships? How could this happen? And when fear and anger are mixed, we become like a trapped dog. A dog that is cornered, that feels like there are no other options. They're fearful at their situation, but then they will lash out in anger at the one that is the aggressor. And we see that going on in our world today. As the economy continues to suffer, there are many people that are angry. And that anger is rooted in their fear. How am I going to provide for myself and my family? What am I going to do with the bills? And they lash out in anger at the government and at the employers and even at COVID-19. And the list would go on, the things that they're angry and mad at. And it is all rooted in that fear. I don't have the security that I once enjoyed. So hurt, injustice, fear, all of these things can be source of the anger within. But then there is a fourth, and that is frustration. Frustration. Our identity is often connected with our role in life, what we do in life. If someone is a teacher, they identify as a teacher. If someone is a businessman, they identify as that businessman. If someone is a politician, a police officer, a doctor, they identify as those things. And our identity is often connected with what we are doing in life. And oftentimes we get angry when our personal expectations are not met, or when others do not respect or appreciate what we do. See, anger can often be directed towards ourselves, that we strive to meet a certain goal. We strive to accomplish a certain purpose, and when we do not meet that expectation, we get upset with ourselves. And there's a term that is often used of people that are extremely driven to succeed. And that is that they are perfectionists. I would say this, that I borderline on that of being a perfectionist. I want to do things right. I want things to work out the way that they are intended. And when I do not meet my personal expectations, yes, there is that danger of me becoming angry and frustrated. Why can't I do this? Why am I not succeeding? I should do better. And there is often that anger that is directed towards myself because of my failures. And maybe you're the same way. That you want to succeed. You want to achieve certain things. And when you don't meet your expectations, there is an anger and frustration that comes about. There are times where we get angry at others. Well, they're the source of my failure. They keep being a stumbling block. Or if they would do their job, then I would succeed. If others wouldn't take advantage of me or abuse me in this way. And we get frustrated at others around us. Or there are even times where we get angry at God. Why doesn't God help me? Why is God always seeming to work against me or allow circumstances to come up in my life that set me back? I'm trying to succeed. I'm trying to move forward. I want to be this thing. I want to identify as the best I can, whether it be as a businessman or a father or a mother or even as a Christian, but I always feel like I am falling flat. And the frustration builds up. And when the frustration overwhelms, what happens is we get angry. These are the sources of anger. And it is important that we identify these sources. We have to know, is it the frustration? Is it the injustice? Is it fear? Is it hurt? Is it a combination of these things that are producing anger within me? Is that why I am so angry as an individual? And then once we identify the source, then comes the hard part. And the hard part is this: we must humble ourselves and take responsibility for our actions. Listen, life is not fair. People are cruel. Circumstances will not go the way that you desire. Insecurities are fragile. I mean, everything in life has the potential of letting us down and causing us to get angry and mad and frustrated at everything and everybody. And what we need to realize is that we cannot control everything and everybody in our life. If you have that idea, or if you think that you can, it shows that you're allowing your pride to control you. See, all of it originates from pride. Pride says, I'm in control. Pride says, I can control the way my life will go. I have the strength to dictate and determine where things should go and what things should be done. And when life doesn't go our way, and when people don't respond the way we expect them to, what happens? We get angry. And when pride controls us, then anger will well up within inside of us. I think of two Bible examples, one of them being Cain. Cain was very upset and angry that God did not accept his sacrifice. And it exposed his pride. God, who are you to tell me what to do? It exposed his frustration, where he was upset that life didn't go his way and things didn't go the way that he intended. And it led him to murder his own brother. That was all rooted in pride. We also see this in the story of Samson. Samson was called to be a deliverer of Israel, but yet he was a very proud and arrogant man. And whenever something didn't go his way, he reacted in anger. There was a time where he lost a bet and he burned the fields. He destroyed things. There was another time where his wife was taken away from him and he went and slaughtered hundreds of men. Over and over again, Samson revealed that pride and anger was dominating his life. The Bible says in Proverbs that there are those that deal in proud wrath. And what I want to encourage you in is this: don't allow the anger within to destroy you. Don't allow the anger within to leave a fence full of holes, to leave the hurts and the scars in the lives of others that you have a relationship with. Those people that you love and you care about. But your anger is being destructive in their life because you cannot control your temper. Identify what's going on. And then humble yourself. Take responsibility. Get victory over your anger. And you may say, well, how do I defeat anger? I've been an angry person for a long time. I explode. I express myself in a way that is wrong. And I've been doing this for a long time. How do I defeat? How do I remove that anger within? Well, as you identify the source, you also need to follow these steps. Number one, quit justifying your anger. Stop making an excuse for it. Stop saying, well, this is just who I am and this is how I was raised. Take personal accountability for your anger. Make that decision. I will take accountability for how I'm responding. I don't have to explode at that situation. I don't have to yell and scream because things didn't go my way. I will control myself. Also, you need to lower your pride by humbling yourself before God and others. Admit your wrongdoing. Ask for forgiveness. Seek help. And then most importantly, forgive those that have wronged you and leave vengeance to the Lord. Don't allow the hurts to build up within you. Don't allow the injustices to overwhelm you. Forgive, move on, and let God deal with it. The anger within must be released.